everyone for joining. There's some familiar names and faces that I see here. So welcome everybody. Let me share my screen and then we can get started. Hopefully you all can see that. So thanks Lane for the introduction. I am Jim. I am at West Virginia University. I actually live in Pittsburgh, however, so I'm very close to Morgantown, but I don't actually live there at the moment. Previously, before I joined WVU, just so you know a little bit about my background, I was deputy managing editor at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, where we were awarded a Pulitzer Prize in breaking news for our coverage of a synagogue shooting here in town. And before that, I was senior news editor of operations for NBC owned and operated television stations across the country. It was more of I was more in the digital side of things. So that's a lot of my background there on digital. And then before all that, I was a sports writer for newspapers. So I worked at the Tribune Review publishing company. It's here in Pittsburgh, where I covered numerous sports, both pro and college and high school, including West Virginia University football. So it all comes full circle, back around again there. So that's me in a nutshell. And so let me tell you a little bit about our program and kind of how it got started and how it developed and what it might mean to some of you out there as well. So as many of you know, and this probably sounds familiar to a lot of you, family-owned community newspapers, they still exist and they provide valuable coverage for communities that residents can't get anywhere else out there. But there are a number of papers out there that are nearing the end of their life cycle. And that kind of means that the longtime owners are looking to sell, but there's a problem with that. And we've heard this in West Virginia and beyond, that they can't find people who want to move to their communities, move to their towns, and take over these publications, even though they are still profitable in many cases. And so that led us to believe at West Virginia University that there was something out there that we could do to help in this to combat this and to keep these places from becoming news deserts around the country. Because in many cases, the newspapers, if they can't find someone to come in and purchase their paper, they have two options. One is generally to sell to a larger chain, and you don't know what's going to happen at that point to the paper. What kind of condition that paper will exist in the next couple of years. Or that paper could just close altogether if they can't find a buyer, and or becomes a ghost newspaper if someone just takes it over and doesn't really put anything into it. So us at the Reed College of Media at West Virginia University, and then the West Virginia Press Association came together and created this program called NewStart to try to help in this matter. So I'm going to talk about two different things today. So first, we'll talk about the NewStart program itself, and then something else called the Paywall Project that you might have some interest in as well. So first, NewStart. So NewStart is a one-year accelerated online master's degree program at WVU. It's the master's degree itself is in media solutions and innovation. It was created at WVU, but it's open to everybody because it's an online program. So you don't have to move to Morgantown to be a part of this. All of the classes are online, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But the real key for all of this is that what we do is try to help match potential buyers with current publishers looking to sell across the country. And so as through starting this program, I've heard a lot of from current newspaper owners in different parts of the country who said, boy, do you have anybody in our area? We want to sell, but we want to sell to somebody who will come in and be a part of our community and run our community paper the way that a community media organization should be run, not from afar or anything like that. And so our goal is to then kind of match up people who come through our program with these current owners out there who want to sell, and hopefully make a deal so that that legacy can continue on in some way or another going forward. And at the same time, the people who come through our program, they're part of a cohort that continues to grow year after year of the next generation of media owners and operators who are sharing ideas, sharing new ways of doing things, and really finding ways that newspapers can be sustainable for the long term going forward. So who can really benefit from NewStart? I'm sure many of you here are the current owners and publishers who want to sell to community-minded individuals. You have an idea that there are people out there who really care about the community and want to see that community be successful, as well as that publication be successful too. And so who can they sell to, and who do we see coming into our program, and who's interested in our program? There are a number of different categories here. So there are current journalists who want to become entrepreneurs. And you may have some of these people in your newsroom now who have an inkling that they want to go into ownership in some way, shape, or form, but they may just not have that background in it. And we'll get into it a little bit later, but if you grew up as a journalist like I did, and you kind of avoided any kind of math classes as you went through school because math was a foreign concept to you, but you could write, you didn't really get the business side of things. And it wasn't really a concern of yours for many, many years, the business side of the industry. What we do is we try to train people on that side of things. So I'll get into that a little bit more as we go through it. So those current journalists who want to be entrepreneurs, they're really looking hard at our program and seeing, how can I make a difference? How can I become an owner and really shape a publication's future? Then also there are journalists who have been laid off. Unfortunately, there are many across the country who are in this position or have left the industry for like a PR job or anything like that. But they've decided that they want to come back in and they want to give it a shot. And so we're hearing from a lot of them as well, as saying, hey, I want to control my own destiny here. How can I do this? So we're here to help them. And then there are also just the civic-minded entrepreneurs and community leaders out there who realize that a newspaper is crucial to the success of a community, to the success of a neighborhood, a town, whatever you want to call it. And that they want to see that paper continue on so that it's holding the powerful accountable, that it is helping boost the businesses in town, and it's also providing great information to the people there as well. So we're hearing from a number of people like that too. And then there are the current students, some that we have in our undergraduate classes and other universities across the country, who realize that, like, hey, I want to get into the business side of things right from the get-go. I want to own my own thing. I want to start my own thing. And so those students who have that entrepreneurial flair are inquiring about our program too and seeing how they can help them. And then there's this other group of the existing owners out there, this might include some of you, who want to scale up your business, who want to learn the new techniques and technologies that are out there and new ways of doing things that can put your business in a better light for the day that you actually do want to sell down the road. And so we're hearing from folks on that side as well, and from those newspapers who have identified people in their newsroom as management material or owner material, and say, hey, I want to invest in this person's future. So can your program offer me anything along those lines to help this employee gain the knowledge that we need to grow our business? So we're hearing from a lot of those folks. And then at the end of the day, the biggest benefit are to the communities across the country where these new owners can come in and take hold of these current papers and then develop them and transform them into something more down the road. And feel free to stop me at any time, guys, if you have questions or anything. Happy to answer those. So how does it work? As I mentioned, it's a virtual program, so you don't have to move to Morgantown to do it. It's a year-long program. It's accelerated, so that means that you're taking, really like 8-week-long classes. There are 10 classes altogether throughout the course of the year. And then, we try to meet all together at least twice a year, but with COVID restrictions, that kind of put a damper on things in year one, but we're hoping for that for the future. We have a number of partners, founders, funders, and collaborators, including, as I mentioned, the West Virginia Press Association and Don Smith, who's been a big part of everything we do. Our College of Business and Economics have been great partners for us in helping to teach the people who come through our program how to create a business plan, how to use the business model canvas, how to, really look at different ways to acquire funding for a program like this. So, that kind of cooperation with our business school and our business department is something that really sets us apart from others, where it's teaching you not just the journalism side of things, but also the business side of things. And that can really go a long way. And then the support we have from the Knight Foundation, the Benedum Foundation, if you're familiar with that, has helped us to create scholarships and fellowships for our program so that we can bring people in and develop them and train them. There you see the curriculum, a lot of different things. The second half of the program, which our current students are going through now, is really more focused on the business side. So they've gained a lot of knowledge in audience development, engagement, media law and ethics that you need as a business owner for a newspaper, and then how to really dive into analytics and coding for newsrooms, so you know what you're talking about if you need to go out there and hire anybody to do any of this kind of stuff for you. And then really, in the research practicum, the independent studies, and the capstone, that's really where we get into the nitty-gritty part of it, where if they've identified a paper that they want to purchase somewhere in the country, we help them work through the analysis of that paper, but also of the community, to see what can be done in that community, and really how you could structure it to be successful going forward. Here's just a list of some of the folks who have been guest speakers in our program in year one. This only goes up to December. Right now, we've had a couple more since then. I just haven't added them to the list, unfortunately, but you'll see there are some longtime newspaper folks in here. I don't know if anybody knows Gary and Helen, but they're retired newspaper owners, are great friends of our program. And then, someone like a Kevin Olson from Teton Media Works, who's doing great stuff in Wyoming. And then, you have kind of like the new kind of way of doing things and new business models as well, with the Foothills Forum, which is in Virginia. Larry Bud Myers, a longtime, media star, basically. I love him. And he talks about his nonprofit efforts there. The Devil Strip in Akron, Ohio, which really gets into co-ops and how do you create a co-op out of a news operation. And then there's things like 6 a.m. City, which is really heavy into newsletters and trying to find all these different ways to diversify revenue streams and revenue sources for a media outlet, which is very, very key going forward. So we're not all dependent on just the print advertising and print subscriptions. So we're really trying to break out of that mold and find new ways to bring in money to a business like this. So what's next for the NewStart program? We're going to be expanding in year two. I should mention, first year of the program, they're about halfway through the program right now. We have a small class in the first year. That was by design, so we could make sure that we got it right and we gave them the attention that they needed for a program like this. Of those students, there are 2 right now who are in talks to purchase newspapers in different parts of the country. One is already working at a newspaper that he eventually wants to take over, and he's been hired on there and taken under the wing of the owner. So that's looking like a good situation there for us. Another is a longtime employee on the business side of things at a paper in central US. And there's a good chance that he will be purchasing that paper in the near future. So that's a good start for us there. And then we also have other folks who are, there wasn't something in the area that they wanted to acquire to purchase. So they're going the startup route. And so that's another way that they're going about it. And we're helping them, figure out the business model, the business plan for that, and how they can make that successful on their own that way. So there's a lot of different ways that this is working for us. but it looks like they're all going to be successful in one way or other in acquiring or starting up their own publications there. So in year two, the cohort will expand. We have, right now we're going through applications for fellowships and scholarships for the program, but anyone is actually open to apply to a program like this as well. The next round will start in June and July, and then it will be a year-long program after that, where they come in, and in year one of the program, you take all the courses, but in year two, it's not like we just hand you a diploma and you're out. We also help you with a business coach so that we can ensure that you will be successful for the long term and can make the right moves that you need to going forward. So on the other end of this, if you're interested in selling to a member of a program like ours, there's my email address. So if you want, you can reach out to me at any time. And I have a database of different newspapers across the country that are looking to sell to a individual, who can certainly want to be in a community like yours. And then, we can try to match you up with anyone who's interested in that area of the country. And hopefully we can work something out that, that can continue on for a long time. So I believe that was all for the NewStart program. So just wanted to also mention pretty quickly about the paywall project, which is another thing that we're involved with at WVU, along with the West Virginia Press Association, and a former member of our faculty, Tyler Channel, who has gone out on his own and started the paywall project. And really, this is to help current newspapers that either don't have websites or don't have digital subscription models right now, but who want them. Or if you have a basic website and you want to kind of like upgrade that and kind of work on the digital subscription model, that's an option that the Paywall Project can work with you on as well. It's all based around plug and play WordPress site with a subscription model for audience and new digital revenue. We have, for those who have signed up with us, I think we have 8 sites that we've been working with in West Virginia so far in this pilot part of our program. And either we gave them an entirely new website and digital subscription model, or if they had a website, we kind of just revamped that and provided the subscription model part of it with it. When you come in with that, you get to be part of a digital ad network as well. And then also, for those in West Virginia, the West Virginia Press Association has been providing social media promotion of their website, sharing of their articles, to kind of help them generate new traffic for their site so people know that they're out there and they exist. I'm sure this kind of thing can also happen with other press associations across the country as well there too. So what you really get with something like this is ready to go paywall. You can sell digital and print subscriptions through this model. There's platform migration, robust subscription management program, 0% rev sharing fees, which is great. And then, if you want apps, that can be done as well, both Android and iOS type things as well. One of our early success stories in this program was a small paper called the Welsh News in West Virginia. It's in one of the most economically disadvantaged portions of West Virginia. The paper was going to fold a few years back, but one of the employees decided that she wanted to try to buy it and save it. So she did. And then we set her up through the Paywall Project with a new website and digital subscription model. And within the first 10 days that the site was up, they received 100 new digital subscribers, which was great. And so it's been a great model of success in that region, so much so that the owner of the paper actually purchased a neighboring paper in the county next door, and it's going to be doing the same thing there as well with that paper and turning it with this website and the digital subscription model too. So it's been great to see it working there. And you see some of the other papers that we've worked with throughout West Virginia too. So more info and next steps. So if you're interested in our program at all, the NewStart program, if you're interested in the Paywall Project, feel free to reach out to me at any time. You can have my contact information there. I'm on Twitter at Jim Iovino if you want to reach out to me that way. Our website for NewStart is newstart.media. And then you also see there we have a newsletter. So each week I put out a newsletter with information about rural community news across the country. The latest one just went out today. We were talking about Gannett and the selling off of the 3 papers to Oklahoma, and how we could see more of that going forward. So feel free to sign up for the newsletter. It's free. And hopefully that can give you some tips and tricks on things as well as we go through the years. And that's all. So if you have any questions, thoughts, ideas, I'd be happy to hear them now. I can answer more questions about our program if you'd like. So I'll open it up to anybody.
How are these people paying for these newspapers?
Yeah, so there are different methods for doing this. So there are some that are working on owner finance deals. There are some that are going through like SBA loans that they're doing there. Some are reaching out to community foundations to help them in support of this if they want to turn it into sometimes a nonprofit or anything like that going forward. So we're looking at all different models and methods of it. There are a lot of like historical preservation grants and things like that that people are looking at too, to try to make all of this happen. I won't, it has been tough in this year with trying to get loans. And so that's why a lot of them have to be a little bit more creative on how they go about things, just because of COVID and what it's done financially to our economy as a whole. So, yeah.
Jim, it's Lane.
Yeah.
Bruce, you alluded to this earlier, but I'm curious what your thoughts are on how associations like mine or some of the others that are sitting in today can be more involved in this project.
Yeah, I mean, just letting all of your members know that a program like this exists. And, what we've really found is that in a lot of places, let me stop sharing my screen so you guys can see me again. In a lot of places, it's a struggle to find people who will come in and purchase your paper. We're hoping that a program like ours can help identify some of those people and connect you with those people. But at the same time, you guys in each of the states and at the press associations, you have a better grasp of like who that next generation could be, and kind of directing them to a program like ours might be very helpful and beneficial to the places that they work now, so that they can benefit from all the ideas that we're teaching our students, but then also grooming those folks to become the next generation of owners and operators of these papers across the country, and giving them the educational background that they need for it, and all the connections to help them with the financing, with how to transform papers down the road, all of that kind of stuff. So anything that you guys can do to help in that respect, to just identify folks and direct them to a program like ours, that can help tremendously. And letting all of your members know too that we exist, and if someone's looking to sell, we may be able to help them with that as well.
What are the costs associated for someone to go through the program?
Yeah. So the cost of the program, it hasn't been determined for this coming year yet. They haven't set the tuition credit rates or whatever it is for that. But for this past year, the year that is happening right now, it's about $18,000 for this 1-year program. Remember, you get a master's degree out of it for that. Now, there are lots of opportunities for grants and financial aid and things like that as well to help people through this program. So that's, that can help in many, many ways with a lot of these students who are coming through the program. And note too that, in the future years, we will probably be offering some, fellowships and scholarships as well, like we're doing this year. So right now for this coming year, we have 5 fully funded fellowships for this. So it's free for 5 people to go through the program. And then there are scholarships as well that we're offering for an additional couple of more students to go through the program too.
That's a conversation I'd like to have with our foundation board about perhaps supporting it in some small way if we could.
Yeah, that would be great. Other questions, guys?
Jim unmuted and then muted back, so he must have decided not to pose another question.
I thought you said the foundation was buying. I perked up there for a second.
No, I'm afraid that's not accurate.
Oh, Dennis had a question there. The amount, oh yeah, the amount, $18,000 for the 1-year program, for the master's degree program. And remember, that's, you don't have to move to Morgantown for it. And if you don't know, I guess I should mention this too. The classes are online because like when I went through college, we didn't have online stuff and I had no idea how this was going to work. But basically, you're taking online classes where you're, each week you're reading a lesson, you're watching videos that are have been done with different industry experts and things like that. And you're posting in discussion boards with all of your classmates on what you've learned. You're writing some papers about it as well of what you learned. But then really you're working one-on-one with me a lot of the time as well, where, I have an individual meeting with you each week where we go over, your goals, what you've learned about any papers that you're interested in purchasing, how I can help you, what connections I can make to help you with that process, who on our business side can help you with business plans or business models or anything like that. And it's, there's a really, even though it is an online virtual program, there really is a lot of one-on-one time where you get to really learn and talk to individuals and really go through the entire process, and you have support the entire way. So I really wanted that to be a big part of this, where it can be very personal for you, even though you are somewhere else in the country and not with me in person.
Are there other questions for Jim? Iovino, that is?
Or Jim Prince, I'm sure.
Well, he has all the answers. We know
yeah,
that.
Right.
I'm sure I'll take questions.
Well, Jim, we are indebted to you for giving us some of your time late on a Friday afternoon in the Eastern time zone. Or did you say I was assuming you were in West Virginia, but you said you were somewhere else. It may be.
I'm in Pittsburgh, just not far away from Morgantown. So just a little bit up north.
So it is
yep.
Eastern time then.
Yep.
Well, thank you again. I feel like we're going to follow up with you for some additional information and ways that we can stay engaged with this program, because I think it truly is unique and it's sorely needed. We know in a state like Mississippi where there are a large number of independent owners who are, that's definitely on their minds about what happens next when they have to retire.
That's right. That's right.
So we laud you for what you're doing.
Yeah, and I'm happy to talk to anyone individually, or if you want to talk as a group at any point in time, I'm open to doing it. So I'll talk to anybody about this. And the whole goal of this is to save local journalism across the country and really make sure that good quality information is getting out there to folks, and that's what we're all here for. So yeah, happy to talk about it anytime.
And happy to hear about the paywall program too. I'm very interested in that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.